Hi, everybody. Welcome back. And thank you for being with us today. We have a new story for you to share, and we will get on now. My name is Trevor, and I think for most of my life, I believe that love was easy. If you love someone, you did everything you could to make them happy. That was what relationships were supposed to do, I thought. But life is a way of humbling you, of imparting lessons you never needed, never wanted. I spent years with Cassandra. People always said it was just a matter of time before we got married, and I thought so, too, where I was planning for infinity. She saw me as something rather different. I was about to discover the hard way that love is not just about how much you're willing to give, but also whether the person you're giving to actually values what you're offering them. This story transformed my view on love and relationships for life. If you have ever poured your heart, soul, and everything you have into a relationship, only be called weak and too nice for your effort, well, you have come to the right place. If you had asked anyone back in university about me and Cassandra, they would have all told you the same thing. We were the perfect couple. People didn't wonder whether we would get married. They wondered when. It was almost a given. I thought if I could treat her like a queen, make her the happiest woman in the world, give her whatever she wanted, we could have the power couple, gold medal winning high school relationship that people would envy. That was my idea of love. My whole life revolved around Cassandra. If she needed something, I made it happen for her. If she was mad, I was the first to say I was sorry, even if I didn't know what I had done. I thought that was the way relationships worked. You love someone, so you do whatever you can to make sure they're happy. Not once did I think my sacrifices were becoming unappreciated, or that I was creating a recipe for failure. When I think back on it now, I can't believe the things I did just to maintain peace. That had a very close friend of mine in university, someone I have known for well before Cassandra ever got in the picture. One day she casually remarked that she didn't like him. She never gave an actual reason, only that she didn't vibe with his energy. That was all I needed to sever ties with him. I stopped chilling with him, stopped picking up the phone when he called, just so she could feel comfortable. I didn't think twice about it at the time. If losing a friend was a small price to pay to stop Cassandra from being sad, then fine. If she wanted something, I bent over backward to see that it happened. If she was having a bad day, I changed my whole schedule to be there for her. If she said she wanted me to alter an aspect of myself, I never questioned it. I just did it. I thought I was being a good husband, the type of man that every woman thinks she wants. But there's a fine line between being a loving boyfriend and being a doormat, and I was blind to the fact that the woman I was going out of my way for never really appreciated it. I have vivid memories of proposing to Cassandra. It was me, alone on one knee, presenting a ring, praying that she would say yes. And she did. I don't think I ever experienced that feeling of happiness. We scheduled the wedding for a few months later, and not long after, she moved with me. That was the point when it all began to feel real. Waking in bed beside her, coming home to her after work, knowing that this was our space. It was dreamlike. I thought I had hit the jackpot, that I was on the verge of beginning a perfect life with a perfect woman. I wanted to ensure everything was perfect for her. I altered my routine, found room for her things, rearranged how I performed small daily things just to ensure she would be comfortable. If there had ever been a time I felt I was exactly where I was meant to be, that was it. One night, Cassandra had been complaining of cramps all day, and I told her to just take it easy, and I'd take care of dinner. It wasn't even a question in my mind. I wanted to take care of her. You love the person you do that for, right? I quickly grabbed my wallet and keys, telling my mom I was going to run to the mall to grab a few things we needed. I was coming out, and she saw her best friend coming up to the apartment. We had a quick exchange before I started to move on. I was happy Cassandra would have some company while I was gone. On my way to the mall, I reached for my wallet, and it was then I discovered my ATM card was missing. I had used it before to buy something online, and must have left it on the table. It was a little error, but that choice to turn back made all the difference. I returned to the apartment, ascended the stairs, and entered. I could hear Cassandra talking and laughing. I walked toward the living room, saw my ATM card where I had left it, and grabbed it. I ought to have grabbed the card and turned right around, but I didn't. When my name was mentioned halfway through a sentence, something stopped me. I listened because my gut told me to. Initially, I thought I'd misheard her. Trevor is too nice. If I told him to get on his knees and crawl, he would do it. The words landed like a slap, and I battled my brain, trying to comprehend what I'd just heard. She kept going. Men like him are the kind of men women cheat with, and you'll still be happy to have a woman. My ex was a man's man. I don't think in any way Trevor is an equivalent. For the briefest second, I considered storming in and demanding to know what was going on, but I didn't move. I remained frozen, absorbing each word. I had been in love with this woman for years, putting her above all else, molding my life to match hers. I'd adjusted my habits, my routines, even who I had around me, because that's what I thought a committed man does. And yet, there she was, laughing at me. A million thoughts went through my mind. Had she always felt this way? And did I really think our relationship was so solid? Have I been living a lie this whole time? So, without saying a word, I turned around and walked out the door and left. Rather than go in the mall, I was sitting by myself at a dimly lit lounge, a glass of whiskey placed down in front of me. I hadn't taken a sip for years. Quit for Cassandra. She once told me she didn't like men who drank too much. So I quit, just like I stopped smoking. Just like you don't hang out with certain friends. Just like I had changed everything about me to conform to who the man she wanted, or who I thought she wanted. And somehow, that still wasn't enough. I swirled the liquid in my glass and stared at it. My brain went to darker places. If she was so indifferent toward me, what else had she pulled behind my back? Had she been cheating on me? After all, she discussed her ex like he was some sort of real man. If that were true, then what was I? A placeholder? Someone to trade comfort with while wishing she were with someone else? I drank some more whiskey, feeling the burn go down my throat. I was too deep into my thoughts. I had given Cassandra everything I had ever had, and in return, I was a punchline with her friend. As the evening dragged on, my phone buzzed on the table. I ignored it. Then it buzzed and buzzed and buzzed. Cassandra was calling. I didn't even need to look at the screen to confirm. The call eventually ended, and the messages began to flood in. I let them pile up. Eventually, I picked up my phone to scroll through them, and the instant I read the last one, something in me broke. What the fuck are you still doing at the mall in hell? A 10-year-old guy would have been finished by now. That was it. No, where are you? No, are you okay? No concern, no worry, only irritation and impatience. She wasn't even remotely interested in why I was late. She didn't care. I set my phone down and leaned back in my chair as the news settled over me, heavy, cold. I had been a fool. I returned home late that evening, after hours at the lounge trying to drown my thoughts. But no shot of whiskey could drown out the words on repeat in my mind. When I finally entered the apartment, Cassandra was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She looked up the instant she heard the door close behind me, her eyes darting to the clock and then back at me. "Where have you been?" she said, irritation tinged with mild concern in her voice. I didn't answer. I didn't even look at her. I literally took off my shoes, threw my keys on the table, and went straight to the bedroom. I sensed her gaze as I walked away from my desk, as if she was anticipating some sort of explanation. Perhaps even an apology. That's how it typically went between the two of us. If she was angry, I made peace with her. If she was annoyed, I placed myself bracingly back into her sex. But not this time. I had nothing left to give. I took my jacket off, got under the covers, and turned my back to her. I didn't even check to see if she followed me into the room. I didn't care. I didn't want to talk, fight, or be dismissed like I was nothing again. Now I was done trying for the first time since I met Cassandra. She hovered in the doorway a second, seemingly puzzled by my silence. "Trevor," she called softly, her voice laced with just a tinge of uncertainty. When I didn't answer, she sighed and got into bed with me. I felt the mattress sink under her weight, the sheets shifting as she settled in. She expected me to turn around. She didn't ask again. She didn't know that when the sun came up, everything she believed she had with me would be over, waking up before the sun had even the chance to rise. I got out of bed and started collecting her things, moving quietly so I wouldn't wake her. Every dress, Every shoe, every little thing in Cassandra's. I put them in neat bags. After this was over, I wanted there to be no trace of her anywhere in my space. Finally, when I'd finished, I grabbed the bags and brought them outside and placed them by the dumpster. The irony didn't escape me. She had used me like garbage, and now here was her getup listed right beside it. All set, I went back indoors. She was still sleeping. I bent down a little and shook her shoulder. "Come outside. I want to show you something." She groaned, the lids of her eyes hardly parting. What is it?" "Just come," I said, my voice steady but strong. Only half awake. She sat up and rubbed her eyes before getting up to follow me. She had no idea. The moment she crossed the threshold, I grabbed the door and banged it after her, locking it in one smooth move. With a start, she turned back, confusion etched across her face. "What are you doing?" she asked. At first, I didn't say anything. I merely cocked my head in the direction of the dumpster. Her eyes chased my gesture, and that's when she saw them, her bags, her clothes, everything she had unpacked in this home, stacked out front like expired baggage. Panic flickered across her face. "Trevor, what is this?" I opened the door just wide enough to step inside, and slammed it shut behind me before she could retreat inside, or even comprehend what was going on. From inside the room, I spoke steadily, colder than I'd ever spoken to her before. "You think I'm a fool for loving you?" I asked, my tone brooking no argument. "Then you go find a type of guy you can respect." For the first time, she had no smarmy retort, just stunned silence. And then, as if understanding the gravity of what was happening, she ran to the door and started banging on it. "Trevor, wait. Just open the door. Let's talk." I stood inside, unmoved. There was nothing left for me to say to her. "Please," she pleaded, her voice breaking now. "You're misunderstanding. Just let me explain." I let out a chuckle. "All of it, Cassandra, I heard. Every single word. You were right. I needed to be reminded of my worth." She began knocking louder, her voice escalating with panic, but I averted my gaze. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I already knew who it was. I pulled it out, saw her name lighting up the screen, and without even thinking about it, I blocked the number. Cassandra may have thought I was too nice before, but now she was finally witnessing the version of me she had never imagined. The man who had nothing left to give her. The wedding was canceled. All the plans we had were gone. I'd scrub her from my life like she had scrubbed my worth with her words. In hindsight, I learned some tough but valuable lessons. The first and most painful truth was, love should never ask you to sacrifice your self-respect. For years I told myself that prioritizing Cassandra's happiness above all else, even my own, was the right thing to do. I believed love meant giving without limits, never questioning, always shifting to accommodate her needs. But that is not love. That kind of love is not love. That is submission. The second you blackmail someone and take away their dignity for your sake, they will no longer think of you as an equal. I also learned that kindness does not equal weakness. I have always thought that if I treated Cassandra with patience and understanding, things would get better in our relationship. But I was wrong. It discourages them from practicing kindness if they do not have respect for kindness. If a person already sees you as less than them, not even love, compromise, or effort will make a difference. Eventually, I woke up to the fact that if a woman doesn't value you as you are, she won't ever genuinely respect you. I had constructed my entire relationship on the premise that love meant proving myself, proving that I was good enough, proving I was the man she said she wanted. But the reality is, if someone requires you to earn your value, they already know you don't have it. Without respect, love has no meaning. I don't know if I will ever love another woman the way I love Cassandra. Maybe I won't, and that's fine with me. The version of me who thought that love meant sacrificing everything, that man is dead. I'd bent over backward for years, putting her needs ahead of my own, and believed that was what a good partner was supposed to do. But it only seemed to make me easy prey for disrespect. That relationship did teach me how to accept rejection without taking it personally, which was a hard lesson. You can give someone your all and they might never respect it. And if I'm honest, I'd prefer to be alone than to ever allow another person to take me for granted like that again.